This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Shawn "Diddy" Combs.
Jay-Z is now at the center of shocking accusations involving an underage girl at a party over 2 decades ago, alongside Shawn "Diddy" Combs. While Jay-Z has fiercely denied the claims, calling them a blackmail attempt, his defense is under intense scrutiny. Legal analyst Joey Jackson has stepped in and dismantled Jay-Z's response, pointing out glaring weaknesses and raising tough questions. Why wasn't he named in the original lawsuit? How does a 24-year-old incident hold up in court? Before we get into this intense breakdown of Jay-Z's defense and the legal firestorm surrounding these shocking accusations, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss updates and analysis on this case and other big stories making headlines.
Are Jay-Z's attorneys claiming the judge should throw out the lawsuit here? Do they have a case?
They have a much better case to get an order saying that the plaintiff needs to identify herself. And they've also requested in this motion that they either want her to identify herself or for the allegations to be.
When Jay-Z came out with his response to the recent allegations, it wasn't your typical carefully worded legal statement. In his statement, Jay-Z said, "I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the projects of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children." That line, "we protect children," hit hard. He wasn't just saying he didn't do it, he was aligning himself with a deeper sense of moral responsibility, almost daring anyone to suggest otherwise. You could feel the weight of those words, especially when he openly called for criminal charges if the allegations were true. "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one," he declared. It wasn't just a denial, it was a challenge. To him, the mere fact that this case is being pursued civilly instead of criminally was evidence that something shady was going on.
Actually assaulted by both men at a Video Music Awards after party in 2000.
And that brings us to his accusations against the accuser's attorney, Tony Buzbee. Jay-Z didn't hold back, calling the entire lawsuit a blackmail attempt. According to him, Buzbee had sent a demand letter, a letter offering to settle the matter quietly through mediation if Jay-Z paid up. To Jay-Z, this wasn't a good faith attempt to resolve a legitimate issue. Instead, he painted it as an opportunistic cash grab, leveraging his celebrity status to squeeze him for money. He refused to play along, saying, "No, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny." You can almost hear him slamming the table when you read those words. Jay-Z's stance throughout all of this has been clear. He's innocent and he's not afraid to fight. He's standing firm, challenging the legal system to prove the claims against him. This isn't just a defense, it's a declaration of war against what he sees as a smear campaign. He's even taken legal action against Buzbee, accusing him of harassment and intimidation.
Understatement, He has a family and he has a lot to protect, including his brand. But to the extent that he's saying, "Hey, come after me criminally," that could be likely. Why do I say that? Because rape in New York, and what's alleged in this complaint is forcible compulsion. What that means in English is that it's saying that he held her down, and that, of course, the allegation is that Mr. Combs did the same thing.
When legal analyst Joey Jackson weighed in on this whole situation, he didn't just give a surface-level opinion, he dug deep, breaking apart both Jay-Z's defense and the lawsuit itself, highlighting where the arguments stood strong and where they might fall apart. Listening to Jackson was like having a courtroom drama explained by someone who's seen it all before. Jackson didn't shy away from acknowledging that Jay-Z's statement was powerful. He pointed out that coming out so forcefully and directly addressing the allegations shows confidence. But it's also a high-stakes gamble. Jackson explained that by calling for criminal charges if the allegations are true, Jay-Z was essentially flipping the narrative. Instead of just defending himself, he was challenging the accuser and her legal team to prove their case in a way that could potentially backfire on them if they're bluffing. It's a bold move, no doubt, but Jackson also cautioned that this kind of approach can cut both ways. If even a shred of the claims can be backed up, it could look like Jay-Z was trying too hard to discredit them.
Investigation by prosecutors, and if true, right, you could pursue it criminally. Now, with respect to the evidentiary value, yes, it happened 24 years ago, right, more than 24 years ago, but in the allegations, there's a few things. Number one,
Then there's the timing of the lawsuit itself, and this is where Jackson raised some pretty interesting questions. Why wasn't Jay-Z included in the original lawsuit back in October? If the accuser had this information all along, what changed between then and now? According to Jackson, this kind of amendment could suggest one of two things. Either new evidence or information came to light that justified adding Jay-Z as a defendant, or, and this is the trickier possibility, it could be seen as a strategic move to get more attention or increase the pressure on him. Jackson stressed that credibility is everything in cases like this, and the timeline of events will be closely scrutinized. If the delay in naming Jay-Z seems suspicious, it could weaken the accuser's case.
Right, that she left, that she went and she was seen by a gas attendant who saw her in distress. Number three, that she phone called her dad who showed up, the 13-year-old, and now removed her. So civil complaint, simply allegations, needs to be proven.
But perhaps the most significant challenge Jackson discussed is the issue of evidence. Or, in this case, the lack of it due to the 24-year gap since the alleged events took place. He explained that when so much time has passed, gathering concrete proof becomes incredibly difficult. Memories fade, witnesses move on, and physical evidence may no longer exist. Jackson noted that while civil cases have a lower burden of proof than criminal cases, the passage of time could still make it tough to build a convincing narrative. However, there are a couple of potential bright spots for the accuser. Jackson highlighted the importance of witnesses, like the unnamed celebrity who was allegedly in the room and the gas station clerk who reportedly saw her in distress afterward. If these witnesses can be found and their testimony holds up under scrutiny, it could be a game changer. Jackson also pointed out that any corroborating evidence, even if indirect, could tip the scales in a civil case, where the standard of proof is simply more likely than not. Why is this case a civil suit and not a criminal one? It's an important distinction, and honestly, it changes everything about how this plays out. Civil cases and criminal cases are like two different sports with their own rules and goals. In a civil case, like the one against Jay-Z, the focus is on monetary damages. The accuser isn't asking for anyone to go to jail, she's asking for compensation for the harm she says she suffered. This is common in cases like this because the bar for proving wrongdoing is lower than in a criminal case. In a civil suit, you just have to prove it's more likely than not that the wrongdoing occurred. In contrast, a criminal case requires proof beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a much higher standard. But here's the thing. Jay-Z isn't just sitting back and dealing with this quietly. He's come out swinging, saying that these allegations are so serious, they should be pursued criminally if they're true. His challenge was clear: file criminal charges and let's see this play out in court. By doing this, he's essentially saying, if this really happened, then bring the evidence and let's get to the bottom of it. It's a bold move, and it sends a strong message that he believes there's nothing substantial to back up the claims. What do you think about Jay-Z's bold response and the way the legal analyst has picked it apart? Do you think his defense will hold up, or are there cracks in his argument? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Now, Joey Jackson, the legal analyst who's been dissecting this case, pointed out that Jay-Z's stance puts the spotlight on the prosecutors. Here's where things get tricky. For a criminal case to happen, prosecutors would need enough evidence to open an investigation and potentially bring charges. Jackson explained that while the allegations are serious, the lack of immediate criminal charges raises questions about whether there's enough evidence to meet that higher standard. That said, it's not impossible for prosecutors to get involved. Jackson noted that certain details in the lawsuit, like the presence of witnesses, the gas station clerk who reportedly helped the accuser, or even other guests at the party, could be revisited by law enforcement. If prosecutors see something compelling enough to pursue, they might open an investigation. But here's the catch. The alleged incident happened over 2 decades ago. That kind of time gap makes things much harder. Memories fade, people move, and physical evidence can be long gone. Still, in some cases, witness testimony or corroborating details can be enough to tip the scales. So, why does this case remain civil? According to Jackson, it could be strategic. Civil suits allow the accuser to seek compensation without the heavy burden of proof that comes with criminal trials. And, let's be real, when a case like this involves a celebrity, the court of public opinion can be just as influential as the courtroom itself. Filing a civil suit keeps the allegations in the public eye and adds pressure without requiring the kind of airtight case a criminal trial demands. When you're a celebrity like Jay-Z, you're not just fighting a legal battle, you're also fighting in the court of public opinion, which can be just as ruthless as any courtroom. Jay-Z's aggressive defense strategy isn't just about winning over a judge or jury. It's about controlling the narrative in the media and protecting his legacy. And so far, his approach has been bold, unapologetic, and very public. From the start, Jay-Z came out swinging. His statement wasn't just a denial, it was a calculated move to seize the narrative. By calling the lawsuit a blackmail attempt and challenging the accuser's team to bring criminal charges, he made it clear he wasn't going to roll over. But here's the thing. This kind of aggressive response is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it projects confidence and can rally public support. On the other hand, it risks making him look defensive or dismissive if people perceive his tone as too harsh. Then there's social media, where everyone has an opinion and the story can change by the minute. Platforms like X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram have been buzzing with reactions to both Jay-Z's statement and the claims made by the accuser's lawyer, Tony Buzbee. Buzbee hasn't been shy about taking the fight public, posting on social media about how he believes Jay-Z is trying to intimidate him and his client. In one post, Buzbee even accused Jay-Z of orchestrating a campaign to discredit him. Posts like these add fuel to the fire, making the case not just a legal issue, but a full-blown media spectacle. What's fascinating is how this case highlights the different kinds of power at play. Jay-Z's fame and influence give him a platform most people could never dream of. But in a situation like this, even that can be a liability. The more visible you are, the easier it is for your words and actions to be dissected, criticized, and spun in ways you can't control. Meanwhile, Buzbee's ability to keep the story in the headlines ensures the case stays in the public consciousness, adding pressure on Jay-Z to respond. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a comment with your take on the case, and give this video a like to help more people join the conversation. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.